If you're anything like me, primetime Thursday and Friday nights in the 80s meant one thing. The TV was on, someone you loved was beside you, and Benson was handling everything. He ran that governor's mansion the way we all wished someone would run our lives. That was nearly 40 years ago. The cast has been through a lot since then. Some of their stories will stay with you. Benson wasn't just clever writing or a perfect cast. It was comfort. The kind you didn't know you needed until the credits rolled and the room felt a little emptier. Today, I want to walk back through that mansion and see what happened to the people who made it feel like ours. I'd love to know who you watched Benson with. A parent, a grandparent, maybe just yourself after a long day. Those memories are what this channel is built on. If one comes back to you, share it below. I read every one. And let's start with a voice you couldn't forget, even if you tried. When I was a little girl in Bavaria, the moment you heard that line, you knew exactly who was talking. Gretchen Krause, the woman who could stop Benson mid-sentence with nothing but a look and a wooden spoon. Inga Swenson was 47 when she first put on that apron. And here's what most people never knew. She wasn't German at all. Born in Omaha, Nebraska, Scandinavian roots, American through and through. That accent was pure craft. She was a trained lyric soprano with 2 Tony nominations on Broadway. The woman who played a stubborn cook had performed Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady and Desdemona in Othello. She made Gretchen feel so real that fans wrote letters in German, convinced she'd understand. 3 Emmy nominations came her way. But behind the tough exterior, Krause taught us something we needed. The people who act the hardest to love are often the ones who love the most. Inga retired in 1998. She and her husband Lowell Harris shared 70 years of marriage. She passed quietly in July 2023 at 90. No cameras, no headlines. Just a life fully lived and a voice still echoing in every rerun. Every office has a boss, but nobody had a boss like Governor Gatling. He could lose his own speech 5 minutes before delivering it. He could agree to 2 opposite things in the same sentence, and somehow, you loved him for it. In a world full of sharp elbows, he reminded us that kindness doesn't need to be clever to be real. James Noble was 57 when he took on that role. Before Benson, he'd served in the Navy during World War II, studied under Lee Strasberg, and played John Hancock on Broadway in 1776. He wasn't playing a fool. He was a trained stage actor choosing to make foolishness lovable. What fans remember most is the finale, Benson and the governor running against each other, sitting together on election night, holding hands. And just before the results came in, the screen froze. We never got the answer. Maybe that was the point. Their friendship was always bigger than any title. Noble spent his later years in Connecticut. He left us in March 2016 at 94, a gentleman to the very end. Not everyone who walked through that mansion door became a household name, but some of them left a mark you wouldn't expect. You might not remember her name right away, but you'd remember the feeling. Marcy Hill was the one who kept everything running when the governor couldn't and Benson wouldn't. She was steady, dependable, the person you trusted before you even realized it. Caroline McWilliams was 34 when she played Marcy across the first 2 seasons. She'd trained at Carnegie Mellon and already spent years on Guiding Light before joining the mansion staff. She was taken from us far too early, in 2010, at just 64. But here's what stayed. Her son, Sean Douglas, became one of the most sought-after songwriters in the country. He co-wrote Thomas Rhett's Die a Happy Man. He's written for Madonna and Lizzo. He won a Grammy. Marcy Hill kept things in order on screen. Off-screen, Caroline raised someone extraordinary. Imagine sitting in a makeup chair for 4 hours every morning. Prosthetic forehead, yellow skin, alien teeth, and underneath all of it, the same guy who once fumbled through press conferences in a fictional governor's mansion. Ethan Phillips played Pete Downey, Benson's enthusiastic press secretary. Pete tried harder than anyone in that building. He tripped over his own enthusiasm, and that's why we rooted for him. He was the coworker who never gave up. Most of us have been Pete at least once. Phillips was 25 when he joined the show. He stayed 5 seasons, then stepped into science fiction. As Neelix on Star Trek Voyager, he spent 7 years under alien prosthetics. His castmates barely recognized him without the makeup. Today, at 71, he wears every year beautifully. Still writing, still acting. In 2025, he starred in The Home and wrote the screenplay for Desert Fiends. His play, Penguin Blues, has been produced over 150 times nationwide. And here's a detail I love. His father owned Frankie and Johnny's, the legendary steakhouse in Manhattan. From a New York kitchen to a Starship kitchen, some paths make their own kind of sense. Born in 1908. Let that sink in. Billy Bird was discovered at 8 years old, living in an orphanage in Pocatello, Idaho. A traveling vaudeville troupe spotted her and took her on the road. She never stopped after that, not for 80 years. By the time she reached Benson, she'd already lived several lifetimes. First, she played Clayton Endicott's mother in season 5. Then she returned as a completely different character, Mrs. Cassidy, for the final 2 seasons. Same show, 2 roles, nobody blinked. Off-screen, she entertained troops across 12 USO tours in Vietnam. One of the few women ever made an honorary Green Beret. John Hughes later cast her in 16 Candles, Home Alone, and Dennis the Menace. Hollywood's favorite grandmother, with an edge that never dulled. Her last role came in 1997. She died in 2002 at 94. A woman who started in an orphanage, performed across a century, and never once waited for permission. 2 more faces from that mansion. One of them carried real royalty in his blood. The other traded the spotlight for something no one expected. Before Clayton Endicott ever set foot in that office, someone else sat in the chair. Louis Stadlin played the governor's chief of staff in season 1. He left after a single year. That exit opened a door, and the man who walked through it became unforgettable. René Auberjonois arrived in season 2 and changed the show's chemistry overnight. Clayton was polished, precise, the kind of man who could insult you so elegantly you'd thank him for it. Where Benson ran hot, Clayton stayed cool. That tension held the show together for 5 seasons. Here's what makes it richer. Auberjonois was actual royalty, a direct descendant of Napoleon Bonaparte, through his mother's line. True aristocracy playing fictional aristocracy. He was 40 when he joined Benson. Before that, he'd won a Tony at 29 for the musical Coco, opposite Katharine Hepburn. After Benson, he vanished under prosthetics as the shape-shifting Odo on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Over 200 credits in his career. In 2018, he was inducted into the American Theatre Hall of Fame. He and his wife, Judith, shared 56 years together. He passed in December 2019 at 79. A man who could play anyone and made every single role feel like no one else could. She was 9 years old when the show began. 9. While the adults argued and schemed and fumbled through politics, Katie Gatling just stood there, being a kid. And somehow, that was the thing that held the whole mansion together. She was the reason Benson softened, the reason the governor tried harder, the heart nobody had to explain. Missy Gold appeared in all 158 episodes. She grew up on that set. And when the cameras stopped in 1986, she did something almost unheard of. She walked away. At 16. No soap opera contracts, no comeback attempts. She chose a different life. She enrolled at Georgetown, earned a PhD in clinical psychology. Today, at 55, Dr. Melissa Gold practices in St. Helena, California. She helps children, adolescents, and adults work through anxiety, depression, and trauma. The little girl who comforted a fictional governor now helps real people find their footing. She radiates the same warmth decades later. It just reaches people differently now. Not through a screen, through a conversation, a moment of being truly heard. Katie Gatling grew up, and she became exactly who she was always going to be. But every story in that mansion always led back to one man, the one whose name was on the door. His real name was Robert Williams. He grew up in St. Louis, raised by his grandmother after his family fell apart. He changed his last name to Guillaume, the French word for Williams, because he wanted something distinguished. He'd joke that nobody could pronounce it. By then, it didn't matter. The whole country knew his face. Guillaume was 52 when Benson first aired. Most careers slow down at that age. His was just beginning. Benson DuBois started as a butler on soap. On his own show, that butler became a budget director, then a lieutenant governor, then a candidate for governor. A black man walking from the service entrance to the front door, on network television, in 1979. He won 2 Emmys. First African American to win Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series. Nobody before him. No one again for over 30 years. After the show, he voiced Rafiki in The Lion King, that wise mandrill who held Simba to the light. He won a Grammy for it. On Aaron Sorkin's Sports Night, he suffered a stroke on set. He came back. They wrote it into the show, because that's who he was. He performed as the Phantom of the Opera in Los Angeles. First black actor in that role. Every door people said was closed, he opened anyway. He left us October 24th, 2017, at 89. We never found out if Benson won that final election. The screen froze. But it doesn't matter. Robert Guillaume already won everything that counted. Not with volume, with presence. The kind that made you sit a little straighter just watching him. He gave us the belief that the smartest person in the room never needs to shout. Some people fill a room just by standing in it. Robert Guillaume was that person. He didn't chase fame. He outlasted every barrier put in front of him. He made dignity look effortless. He left us in 2017, at 89. But a voice still echoes through a Disney kingdom, a butler who became a leader, a man from St. Louis who proved that where you start has nothing to do with where you belong. Every time someone presses play, he's back in that mansion, still the smartest one in the room, still making us believe we could be too. 40 years. That's how long it's been since that mansion closed its doors. But the feeling it gave us never really left. Some shows fade. This one just settled in deeper. Somewhere, Gretchen is still yelling from the kitchen. The governor is still losing his papers, and Benson is still standing in the middle of it all, holding everything together. So let me ask you something. When you think of Benson, where were you? Who was sitting next to you? I'd love to read that memory in the comments. There are more stories like this one, more faces, more living rooms we used to know. Until next time, take good care of that memory.